The galaxy had always watched humanity with cautious curiosity, but never with true fear. Humans grew fast, spread fast, and learned even faster. Yet the Galaxy Council believed they could guide them, shape them, maybe even control them. For 3,000 years, the Council had acted like a shield for the galaxy, making rules, solving problems, and stopping wars before they began. Most species trusted them. Many obeyed them. Some feared them. But none of them truly understood humans. The first sign of trouble came quietly. A Council spy ship drifted close to the borders of Terran space, scanning human colonies without permission. Humans noticed, of course. They always noticed. They simply did not react. The Council took this silence as weakness. Inside the Grand Chamber of the Council, delegates from 37 species argued. The air was full of flickering lights from holographic displays and the sharp hum of translation devices. Words overlapped, emotions rose, and logic began to fade. "They expand too fast," one delegate shouted. "They build ships no one has seen before. They settle worlds that were once marked as unstable. They are unpredictable." Another delegate, a thin creature with long silver eyes, tapped his claws nervously. "We should speak with them first. Humans may be fast, but they are reasonable. They talk before they fight." A third delegate slammed his fist on the table. "Talk? We tried to talk." They responded with silence. Silence is not peace. Silence is threat. The meeting grew louder. Some wanted diplomacy. Some wanted warnings. Some wanted war. In the end, fear won. A secret vote was taken. Votes were cast in the shadows of the chamber, each delegate covering their decisions with layers of privacy screens. And with a narrow majority, the Council approved a preemptive strike against humanity. No warnings. No discussions. Only attack. At first, the Council wondered if they had made the right choice. But then, late in the cycle, 5 Council fleets jumped into human territory. They targeted outer colonies, first small settlements, research stations, mining worlds. Systems with weak defenses. The first strike hit a colony named Haven 3. It was a peaceful world with children running under warm skies and farmers tending to fields of golden grass. Without any announcement, without any signal, the sky ripped open as alien ships appeared. Energy beams rained from above, destroying defense towers and communication hubs. Buildings fell. Fires rose. People screamed. Within minutes, the colony was silent. Across Terran space, reports flooded in. Colony Nova 12 lost contact. Station Halias burned. Outpost Redwood vanished. More were attacked so fast that many never had time to send warnings, but something strange happened. The humans did not panic. There was no mass confusion. No desperate calls for surrender. No leaders crying out for peace. Instead, across every human screen and device, a calm message appeared. Directive Wrath initiated. Many alien observers intercepted the message and tried to interpret its meaning. Some believed it meant retaliation. Others thought it was a defense protocol. But the truth was far simpler. Directive Wrath meant unity on Earth. In a secure bunker beneath the old capital, the Terran Council gathered. They were not soldiers or tyrants. They were leaders chosen by billions. They sat quietly around a dark table. The room lit only by data screens showing the ongoing attacks, the eldest among them, a calm woman with silver hair, spoke first. "They fear our growth. And instead of speaking to us, they chose to strike our homes. They chose to kill our people. They chose war." Her voice did not shake. No one's voice shook. Another council member leaned forward. "We have always offered peace. We have always tried to share knowledge. But if they believe humans will bow because they attack us, they do not understand what we are." The room fell silent for a moment, then the final decision was spoken. No negotiation. "Not yet. First, protect our people. Second, show them we are not prey." Across human space, fleets that had been resting in hidden bases powered up. Engines lit the darkness with cold blue light. Ships that had not flown in centuries rose again. Pilots were recalled. Engineers worked without pause. Soldiers readied themselves, but even then, humanity did not strike back. Not immediately, they waited. They watched. They observed the behavior of the Council fleets as they continued to attack colony after colony. The aliens expected fear. They expected chaos. They expected humans to send desperate messages asking for peace. Instead, the aliens saw something they had never seen before. All human communications went silent. No distress calls. No negotiations. No outcry. Only silence, and that silence was not weakness. It was focus. On the alien ship, some commanders grew nervous. Reports came in showing humans evacuating civilians with incredible efficiency. Hidden bunkers opened. Automated defenses activated. Human ships moved like shadows, appearing and disappearing from scanners. One alien captain watched a hologram of a human fleet forming near the Terran border. His voice trembled. Why are they so calm? Why do they not fight back? Why do they not surrender? A younger officer answered quietly, Maybe they are preparing. Even as the attacks continued, humans did not strike first. It was not because they lacked power. It was not because they feared the Council. It was simply because humans never acted without understanding the full situation. They studied the enemy. They learned. They improved, and the Council had just taught them exactly how the Council fought. In one corner of the galaxy, a Council recon team returned from a small human outpost they destroyed earlier. They believed they had wiped out all resistance. But as their ship drifted through space, their sensors picked up something new. A single human scout ship, small, unassuming, quiet. The Council ship tried to scan it. But the human ship did not respond. It simply appeared behind them, as if materializing from the void. The Council captain shouted orders. Ready weapons. Target it. Destroy it now. But before they could fire, the human ship moved. It didn't move fast. It didn't move with loud engines or bright lights. It moved smoothly, silently, like a shadow sliding across water. And in a blink, the Council ship's weapons went dark. Then its engines. Then its entire power system. The human ship sent a single message. You struck first. We will finish this. Then the human ship disappeared. The Council ship drifted powerless, shocked and defeated without a single shot fired. Word of this spread quickly through the Council. Panic grew. If a small human scout ship could disable a fully armed warship, what could an entire human fleet do? Back in the Council chamber, delegates rushed into another emergency meeting. Some screamed. Some begged to stop the war. Some demanded more attacks, but a transmission cut through the noise, a human message, not angry. Not emotional. You attacked our colonies. You killed our people. You forced us into war. We will not beg. We will not run. We will answer. The message ended with a final line that sent fear across the galaxy. You have awakened our wrath. In that moment, the entire galaxy realized something the Council had not. Humans were peaceful by choice, not by nature. And now the choice had been taken away. The first part of the war had begun, and humanity's silence had ended. What followed would change the galaxy forever across human space. The shock of the attack settled like a cold shadow, but fear never took hold. Instead, something stronger rose inside every human heart. The people who once lived separated by borders, distance, and different beliefs now looked toward the same sky with the same thought. They had been attacked without reason, without warning, and without mercy. And humans did not forget such things. The Terran Council called for a full unity broadcast. Within hours, every human colony, every outpost, every ship, and every hidden installation received the same message. In simple words, spoken with calm certainty, the message announced what every human already felt. We stand together. All of us. The broadcast was not loud. It was not angry. It did not demand revenge. It simply created a bridge between billions of humans scattered across thousands of worlds. In that moment, the galaxy witnessed something it had not seen before: complete human unity on one colony. A farmer stood in silence, staring at the ruins of his home. On another world, a young technician watched emergency lights flash across the sky. Soldiers in deep space stations tightened their gloves and checked their gear. Children in shelters held each other as the adults promised to protect them. It did not matter who they were. It did not matter where they lived. Every human felt the same fire. Directive wrath spread like a quiet storm. This directive had existed only in theory. Long ago, when humans feared they might meet hostile species among the stars, they wrote a plan to be used only if humanity was attacked without warning. Generations passed, and no one believed the directive would ever be needed. But when the Council fleets struck, the leaders had no hesitation. Now the ancient plan woke from its long sleep. Hidden vaults opened. Data cores unlocked. Old alliances inside human society were renewed. Warriors and scientists worked side by side. Weapons designed but never tested were prepared. Ships built for defense were now armed for war, but even as preparations began, humans did not let anger control them. They did not break into chaos or start fighting among themselves. They found strength not in rage, but in purpose. The Council wanted humanity scared and divided. Instead, they created something far more powerful: humanity united on Earth. Inside a massive underground command center, the Terran Council gathered. Again. The room was filled with holograms showing the attacked colonies, the enemy fleets, and the movement of civilians into safe zones. The leaders sat in silence as information streamed in. Finally, one of the younger council members spoke. "We know why they attacked us. They fear us. They fear our progress. They fear our speed. They fear the unknown." "Fear makes people blind," another leader added. "Blind enough to strike first without thinking of the cost." The oldest council member, the same silver-haired woman who had guided humanity through the first wave of attacks, raised her gaze. "We have always chosen peace. But we will not allow our people to be hunted. Prepare the fleet. Prepare the defenses. Prepare everything." The calm in her voice echoed across the room like a promise. In the outer colonies, fleets began forming. Massive hangars opened, revealing ships that had been kept hidden for generations. Black armored cruisers rose from beneath mountains. Carriers the size of cities emerged from underwater docks. Smaller, faster ships floated into formation like a swarm of steel birds across dozens of worlds. Human pilots gathered in briefing rooms. Some were young, fresh from training. Others were veterans from old border conflicts. All wore the same silent determination. A pilot named Mara stood beside her fighter, staring at the stars. Her home colony had been attacked early and she lost many friends. But she did not seek revenge. She sought protection. Her thoughts were simple. No more human worlds would fall. Her commander approached her quietly. "You ready?" Mara nodded. "We all are." Meanwhile, engineers worked day and night. They repaired old ships and built new ones. They tested weapons that had only existed in theory. They pushed the limits of what humans could create. Human adaptability was always their greatest strength, and now it was needed more than ever. But not all preparations involved weapons. In every colony, humans focused first on protecting civilians. Massive shield generators were activated. Bunkers were reinforced. Thousands of evacuation ships moved families to safer systems. Volunteers guided children into shelters. Doctors and medics worked without rest. The Council had expected humans to react with panic. Instead, they found a species that could organize its defenses at a speed no alien nation could match. One alien observer, stationed in a stealth ship near a human border world, watched the sudden changes with disbelief. He saw civilian ships moving with perfect coordination. He watched as human fleets formed with impressive precision. He recorded everything and sent it back to the Council. The report he wrote had only one line. "They are not breaking. They are preparing." Back in Council space, fear began to grow. Delegates who had once voted for the attack now doubted their choice. They questioned the intelligence reports that described humans as emotional, chaotic, and easy to control. Those reports had now proven wrong. The Council military leaders sent more fleets toward human space. They hoped to strike deeper, to force humanity into surrender. But every time they moved, they found human defenses waiting. A council captain received orders to attack a human mining world. His fleet arrived expecting an easy victory. Instead, they found themselves targeted by powerful orbital defenses they had never seen before. Beams of white energy cut through their shields. Missiles curved through space as if guided by invisible hands. The captain shouted for a retreat. His ships fled, damaged and terrified. He reported the truth to his superiors. Humans adapt too fast. We cannot predict them. But it was too late. The Council had already awakened something much larger. Human unity grew stronger. In deep space, the first major human fleet gathered at a massive command ship named Dawnbreaker. It was the pride of the Terran Union, a ship said to hold enough power to match entire alien armadas. From its command bridge, Admiral Keon watched the holographic maps showing enemy movements. A quiet officer approached him. "Admiral, all fleets report ready." Keon nodded slowly. "And civilian evacuations?" 98% complete. "Last transports leaving now?" Keon closed his eyes for a moment. He felt the weight of what was coming. Humans had never wanted war. They had always believed in cooperation, in progress, in peace. But peace required trust. And the Council had broken that trust. "We strike only when we must," Keon said softly. "But when we strike to end the threat, not to punish?" The officer nodded. "Understood." A signal flashed on the main display. A small human scout fleet had made contact with a Council recon group. The last time this happened, the humans had disabled the alien ship with no casualties. Now, more such encounters were happening. One such recon group tried to scan a human convoy. The humans responded by jamming their systems and forcing them to retreat. The alien ships fled across the border. Shaken by how quickly humans had learned their tactics, whispers spread across the galaxy. Humans were not supposed to be this fast. Not supposed to be this coordinated. Not supposed to be this calm. Species who once trusted the Council began to wonder if they had made a terrible mistake. Some even sent secret messages to human diplomats, apologizing or offering help. But humanity sent only one message in return. "We will remember who stood against us. We will remember who stood with us." In the quiet darkness of space, the united human fleets waited. Every ship stood ready. Every soldier held their breath. Every leader watched the stars. Humanity had not yet begun their counterattack. They were waiting for the right moment, the right information, the right opening. They did not fight out of anger. They fought to protect. And when the time finally came, when humans finally moved, the galaxy would understand the true meaning of the message that echoed through every system. They had awakened. Human wrath and humanity did not rise slowly, they rose all at once. The human fleets waited in the silent darkness of space, still and patient like hunters watching their prey. Across thousands of screens on thousands of ships, every pilot, every commander, and every soldier watched the glowing paths of enemy fleets moving like red lines across the star maps. Humanity had united, prepared, and strengthened itself. Now they were ready for the next step, but still, humans did not strike first. They watched the Council fleets move deeper into human space. They recorded every attack, every pattern, every weakness. The galaxy thought humans were stalling. The Council believed humanity was afraid to fight back. But the truth was far simpler. Humans never acted blindly. They learned. They studied. They adapted. And finally they understood enough. On the command bridge of the Dawnbreaker, Admiral Keon stood before a hologram of enemy positions. His eyes moved slowly across glowing red symbols of Council ships. Around him, officers waited quietly, their breaths shallow, their hands ready. A calm voice from the sensor station spoke. "Admiral, enemy fleets are moving into strike formation. They believe we are still regrouping." Keon nodded. "They think we are hiding." "Yes, sir." Keon raised his hand and touched a glowing blue icon. "We are done hiding." The room grew quiet. Even the sound of machines seemed to vanish. "Begin counter-operation." "All fleets, advance." Across human space, thousands of ships moved as one. Engines ignited like stars being born, pushing massive vessels through the void. The humans did not charge wildly. They moved silently, coordinated, precise. No wasted energy. No hesitation. When the first wave of human ships appeared near the Council's forward attack fleets, the aliens were caught completely off guard. A Council commander stared at his screen in shock. Human ships detected. How did they reach this sector so fast? His voice cracked with disbelief. His second officer swallowed hard. They were waiting for us, sir. The commander hesitated. Ready weapons. Prepare for... But at that moment, the humans made their move. Human ships did not fire heavy cannons or devastating beams. Instead, they used something the Council had never seen before. Small, sleek drones launched from human cruisers. Spreading through space like silver sparks, the Council commander screamed, "Shoot them down!" Now, but the drones moved unpredictably, changing direction every second. They slipped past enemy fire like water flowing through fingers. Then they reached the Council ship's dot, and suddenly everything went dark. The alien ships lost power. Their engines failing, their shields collapsing. Screens flickered. Lights shut off. Weapons died. Humans had learned from their earlier encounter. Disabling was better than destroying. When the first Council fleet drifted helplessly, the human ships surrounded them but did not fire. A single message was transmitted. We do not kill if we do not have to. Stand down. The Council soldiers inside the disabled ships watched helplessly as the human fleet held them at mercy. But the humans did not attack. They did not destroy. They simply made sure the enemy could not continue their assault. This moment shocked the galaxy more than any battle could. Humanity had just shown strength without cruelty. The Council delegates received the reports with shaking hands. Some were relieved. Others were terrified. A few panicked. They are too strong, one alien shouted during an emergency meeting. We attacked them first, and they still refuse to slaughter us. What kind of warriors are they? An older delegate whispered what many feared. Warriors who only fight when forced. Meanwhile, human fleets continued their advance. Colony by colony, system by system, they reclaimed territories lost in the initial attacks. But where many expected revenge, humanity instead showed sharp discipline. In one system, humans found a Council base preparing to fire on a civilian transport. Instead of destroying the base from orbit, a team of elite human soldiers landed silently and disabled all weapons within minutes. They freed the alien workers who had been forced to serve the Council military dot in another region. Humans tracked a fleeing Council fleet. Instead of crushing them, the humans hacked the fleet's navigation and forced them into harmless drift until they could be safely captured. Stories like these spread across the galaxy. Soon, whispers began to change. Humans were not monsters, they were protectors, but protectors with dangerous power. At the same time, human forces kept winning battles with surprising creativity. A human destroyer with a damaged engine pretended to be helpless, drawing in a Council ambush fleet. When the aliens approached thinking they had an easy kill, the destroyer suddenly powered its hidden thrusters and trapped the enemy in a magnetic net until backup arrived across another battlefield. A small squadron of human fighters faked a retreat. The Council ships chased them, believing they had scared the humans away. Instead, they were led straight into a massive formation of hidden human ships within minutes. The Council squadron surrendered without losing a single ship. The galaxy had expected humans to fight with rage, but they fought with intelligence. On the Council's capital world, fear grew. The delegates who voted to attack humanity now whispered privately that the war might be lost. Some blamed the military. Some blamed false intelligence. Others blamed humans for being too unpredictable. In truth, they had only themselves to blame. A young alien diplomat named Ralvash stood outside the Council chamber. He listened to the chaos inside, to the shouting, to the accusations. He closed his eyes and thought about the humans he had studied for years. He had always believed they were more complex, more adaptable, and more dangerous than the Council admitted, he whispered to himself. We struck the wrong species. Back in human space, Admiral Keon received the latest reports. The Council fleets were falling back. Entire systems were abandoning the war effort. Some alien officers were surrendering on sight. Civilians on Council worlds were protesting the war. The truth about the preemptive strike had begun to leak. The Council was losing control, but humanity's leadership did not celebrate. They knew the war was far from over. Keon stared at the hologram of the galaxy. Red markers still shone across dozens of star systems. "They attacked us," he said quietly. "They threatened our children. We cannot allow this to happen again. We end this war, not to win, but to make sure it never starts again." Nearby, Mara and her fighter squadron prepared for another mission. She checked her ship carefully, her mind calm. Other pilots chatted nervously, but Mara remained quiet. One of the younger pilots asked her, "Do you ever get scared?" Mara smiled slightly. "Of course. But fear doesn't control me. I control it. Humans always have." The mission began with a jump into a system that was heavily guarded. The Council had sent one of their largest fleets there to stop the human advance. The moment Mara and the others arrived, the battle began. Human ships danced through space like living shadows. Council ships fired wildly, desperate to hold their position. The sky was full of bright explosions, sharp beams, and twisting fighters, but human tactics were different from anything the Council understood. Mara led her squadron through a storm of laser fire, dodging every blast with impossible precision. Her ship moved like it was part of her body. She fired small EMP rounds that disabled enemy engines without destroying the ship. Her squadron followed her example. Soon the entire battle shifted. 100 enemy ships drifted powerless. Surrounding by human forces, the Council commander shouted over the comms, "Why do you not destroy us?" A calm human voice answered, "Because destruction is not strength. Control is." The commander fell silent. When the battle ended, humans recovered every disabled Council soldier safely. They treated the wounded. They protected civilians. Even enemy civilians. The galaxy watched in awe. The Council had expected humans to become monsters, but instead, they became something else. A force of justice. A force of balance. A force that could not be frightened or manipulated. The turning tide had come. The Council's attacks were losing power. Their lies were failing. And humanity, once silent and calm, now stood ready to push forward. The war was no longer about survival. It was about truth. It was about teaching the galaxy what it meant to awaken human wrath, and the lesson was only beginning. The war that had begun between the Galaxy Council and humanity had reached a point where fear no longer guided the decisions of either side. Now it was pride, anger, and a determination to show strength. The Council believed they could still win if they acted quickly, and humanity believed they could not only defend themselves but also end the fight forever. As the conflict continued, everything grew darker and more intense. The galaxy had now become a place where every decision carried life and death. A strategist named Arvin, from a Council species known for their cold logic, tried to gather information about the attacks humans had launched. He was inside a control room filled with screens showing destroyed fleets, damaged space stations, and wounded soldiers. Each new report made the truth harder to ignore. The Council had underestimated humans. They thought humans would act like every other species, but humans were something else. They adapted fast. They fought harder when pushed. They took damage and came back even stronger. Arvin saw this pattern again and again. Even then, the Council leaders refused to accept reality. They believed that they had the right to control the galaxy and that humans must obey. Arvin tried to argue that humans were not what they expected, but no one listened. Pride had blinded them. The Council leaders ordered an all-out strike on key human colonies, hoping to break morale. But they did not understand that this move would push humans even further on the human side. Captain Rian and Commander Lyra were preparing for what they understood would be the most dangerous phase of the battle. They stood inside the command chamber of the warship, Solus Prime. The room hummed with energy as screens displayed enemy troop movements. Human officers moved quickly, sharing reports and giving orders. The atmosphere was tense but focused. No one panicked. They were ready, Lyra explained the enemy's new strategy. The Council was trying to hit civilian colonies, thinking that fear would weaken humanity. But humans had already decided that fear would not control them anymore. When the first colony was targeted, humans did not scatter, they united. Soldiers volunteered faster. Engineers worked day and night. Scientists created new shields and new weapons. Humanity became sharper and more determined. Rian knew that responding to the threat required speed. If they allowed the Council to continue attacking colonies, the war would grow worse. So he suggested a counterstrike that no Council member would expect. Instead of hitting military bases, they would target communication networks across Council space. If they cut the flow of information, the Council would fall into confusion, and their fleets would become isolated. Lyra agreed, and soon human crews prepared for the mission. Out in space, human ships gathered in formation. Their engines glowed with a blue light as they lined up, ready to jump through hyperspace. Every pilot, every engineer, and every soldier understood what was at stake. They were not attacking for conquest. They were attacking to protect their people. The fleet jumped, and the quiet of space disappeared. They arrived deep inside Council territory, taking the enemy completely by surprise. Human ships moved quickly, firing precise shots at the communication satellites and relay stations. Alarms echoed across Council stations as lights flickered and systems collapsed. The confusion that followed showed how heavily the Council had relied on their technology. Without communication, fleets lost coordination, and officers shouted orders that never reached their units. Arvin, watching from his command center, felt the shockwave of this unexpected assault. His screens went dark one by one. His assistants scrambled to reconnect systems, but nothing worked. He finally whispered that humans were fighting with a style no one had predicted. They were efficient, creative, and bold. They were becoming a force the galaxy had never seen. Meanwhile, human ground teams sneaked onto a Council station that controlled long-range tracking. The Council never thought humans would dare such a move. But humans were willing to risk everything if it meant saving their own. The team entered the station quietly, disabling guards using non-lethal methods because humanity still chose restraint where they could. They planted devices that disrupted the tracking systems. As they escaped, alarms began to ring across the station. Back on Earth, people watched the situation unfold with determination. Factories increased production. Medical teams prepared for casualties. Students helped with communication tasks. Everyone wanted to contribute. Humanity moved like one united body. This unity was something the Council had never expected. They believed humans were too emotional, too divided, but they did not understand that when humans faced a threat, they became stronger than ever. When Rian and Lyra returned to the Solace Prime, they reviewed the results. Their attack had thrown the Council into chaos. The enemy fleets were now scattered. Their leaders argued among themselves, and species that had feared humans began to reconsider their position. Some even started whispering that perhaps the Council had made a mistake, but the Council leaders still refused to stop. Instead, they ordered an attack on a major human city. They wanted to prove they still had power. They wanted to break humanity's spirit. But this decision would have the opposite effect. As the enemy fleet approached Earth, the humans activated the newest defense system created by their scientists. Massive shield generators rose from the ground. Energy fields formed in the sky. The air vibrated with power. When the Council fleet fired, their attacks bounced off harmlessly. It was the moment the Council realized that humanity was no longer defensive. They had advanced. Rian watched the failed attack from orbit. He knew that the Council had crossed a line that could never be forgotten. Now humanity had only one choice: end the war. He told Lyra that they would target the Council's central command. Lyra agreed, knowing it was the only way to force the Council to stop. The message was sent. Every human fleet prepared for the final phase. Pilots tightened their gloves. Commanders checked their systems. Engineers ran last-minute diagnostics. Soldiers stood ready in silent determination. They were going to strike the heart of the council. In the council's central chamber, the leaders panicked for the first time. They realized humans were coming. They argued about who was responsible. They claimed humanity should have obeyed. But the truth was clear. They had awakened something they did not understand. They had awakened human wrath. As lights dimmed and alarms blared, Arvin looked out at the stars. He finally understood the biggest mistake the council had made. They thought they could break humans with force. But instead, they had turned them into the fiercest force in the galaxy. And now, that force was on its way. This was the calm before the final storm. And everyone knew the end would change the galaxy forever. The final stage of the war began with a silence that felt heavier than any explosion. Across human space, people waited, knowing the greatest battle in their history was about to start. Soldiers prepared for departure, engineers checked every system, and families held one another tightly. They all understood that humanity was moving toward the center of the Galaxy Council, the very place where the war began. And this time, they were not going to defend, they were going to end it. On the flagship Solus Prime, Captain Rian stood before the large view window, watching hundreds of human ships form into a massive fleet. Their hulls glowed in the darkness, engines humming softly as if they were alive. Commander Lyra joined him, her expression calm but strong. She explained that all fleets were ready. Every ship had received the final command. They would strike the Council's central system at once. Rian nodded. He knew this attack carried risks. It would be the most dangerous mission humanity had ever attempted. But after everything the Council had done, there was no turning back. They needed to make sure the Council would never attack humanity again. The fleet jumped into hyperspace. There was a deep vibration, and then the stars stretched into streaks of white. When they exited hyperspace, the Council's central system filled their screens. Giant stations hovered above a massive planet. Fleets of Council ships surrounded them, already forming defensive lines. The Council had expected this attack, but they were not prepared for the way humans would fight. Human ships spread out, moving with perfect coordination. Their formations shifted like flowing water, confusing the Council commanders. When the first Council fleet charged, humans moved aside with incredible speed. They countered with precise attacks that disabled engines and weapons without destroying the ships. Humanity still refused to kill more than necessary. Even after everything they had suffered, Council ships tried to overwhelm them with numbers, but human pilots adapted instantly. They dodged attacks, returned fire, and protected one another. It was a display of unity the Council had never understood. What they thought was weakness had become the humans' greatest strength. Inside the Council chamber, chaos spread. Leaders argued loudly, blaming each other for the disaster. Arvin stood in the corner, watching the confusion. He tried to tell them that surrendering was the only way left. The Council leaders refused. They insisted they still had enough force to win. They shouted that humanity must obey or be crushed, but the screens around them showed a different truth. One by one, Council fleets fell into disarray on the battlefield. Rian guided the Solus Prime straight toward the central station. Lyra handled communications, giving orders to ground teams and pilots. Human soldiers prepared for entry. They would land inside the Council command center and force the leaders to face them directly. As the ship neared the station, Council defenses turned their full attention on them. Beams of energy shot across space, explosions erupted, and alarms echoed inside the Solus Prime. But human engineers had strengthened the shields for this exact moment. The ship held strong. When the Solus Prime reached the station, human soldiers boarded small dropships and launched toward the surface. They flew in tight formation, avoiding fire with sharp, controlled movements. When they landed, they entered the station quickly, moving as one team. They did not shoot unless attacked. They focused on disabling security systems and reaching the Council chamber. Arvin watched the cameras inside the chamber as human soldiers advanced. Their discipline impressed him. They did not destroy unnecessary equipment, and they avoided harming civilians. This was not a group seeking revenge. They were seeking justice. Finally, the doors to the Council chamber opened. Human soldiers stepped inside, forming a calm but unbreakable line. Rian and Lyra entered behind them. The council leaders froze. For the first time, they seemed unsure of their power. Rian spoke in a steady voice. He told them that the war was over. He told them humanity would not allow another attack. He told them they could choose peace or destruction. The leaders tried to respond with threats, but their voices cracked with fear. Arvin stepped forward. He admitted the truth that the council had never wanted to see. They had started a war out of pride. They had attacked humanity without understanding their strength. They believed fear would control humans, but instead, they had awakened something powerful. The council chamber fell silent. Every leader felt the weight of their mistake. Rian said that humanity did not seek domination. They wanted only safety. But if the council refused peace, humans would end their rule completely. The leaders finally understood that they had no victory left to claim. Their fleets were broken, their stations disabled, their people terrified. Humanity had shown power they had never imagined. Slowly, one leader after another agreed to surrender. Outside the chamber, human soldiers lowered their weapons. Across the system, council fleets began to shut down their weapons. Screens across human ships confirmed it. The war was ending. Rian and Lyra stood together, watching as the surrender was formalized. They felt unreal. After so much struggle, humanity had forced the strongest power in the galaxy to accept peace. Not because humans wanted control, but because they refused to be victims again. As the humans prepared to leave, Arvin approached Rian. He admitted that he had misjudged them. He said that perhaps the galaxy needed humanity to bring balance. Rian replied that humanity would protect itself, but they would also protect the weak. Because strength meant nothing without responsibility. When the Solace Prime flew back toward Earth, every human aboard felt the shift in history. Humanity had risen from being underestimated to becoming a power the galaxy could not ignore. They had fought not with cruelty, but with determination and unity. Back on Earth, celebrations spread across cities and colonies. People cried, hugged, and cheered. They honored the soldiers who had defended them. They honored the scientists, engineers, and workers who had given everything to protect their home. Humanity had survived the Council's attack. Humanity had proven its strength, and the galaxy would never again see humans as weak. The Council had awakened human wrath, and humanity had answered with something stronger, unbreakable resolve. Now the future of the galaxy was changed forever, and humanity stepped into that future with confidence, ready to build a new era of peace and power.